A peak in the Ural Mountains of Siberia has been known to the indigenous Mansi people as Kholat Syakhl, or the, quote, Mountain of Death. Its extreme, isolated, and hostile climate raised the specter of doom for anyone bold enough to attempt its slopes. Given the danger, it should have been little surprise then when in 1959, 9 young hikers were found buried under the deep snow. At first glance, the incident could have easily been chalked up to an avalanche or freak storm. As investigators began looking further into the details of their ill-fated journey, however, it became evident that the mountain may be hiding an even darker secret behind its perilous reputation. Unexplained radiation readings, sightings of strange lights in the sky, and evidence of an unknown, quote, compelling natural force quickly turned the incident into one of the most mysterious unsolved cases in the world. Led by Igor Dyatlov, the group of hikers from the Ural Polytechnical Institute was last seen on January 27, 1959. They departed from Vizhai, the last inhabited settlement to the north. Their original plan called for summiting a different mountain, Ortonton, to qualify for an advanced Grade 3 hiking certification. The trek would take them on a 190-mile expedition through rocky, mountainous terrain, with temperatures reaching as low as -40 degrees Fahrenheit. All the hikers possessed advanced technical hiking skills and were Grade 2 certified. Dyatlov's group promised to send a message when they returned to Vizhai as scheduled on February 12th, and when the telegram didn't arrive as expected, it was assumed they merely encountered an unexpected delay. By the time no word was heard on February 20th, family members began to fear the worst. The Ural Polytechnical Institute organized a volunteer search and rescue operation that failed to locate the missing hikers, and eventually the military was called in to assist. The precarious search and rescue operation was complicated by the mountainous terrain and wintry weather. It would take nearly a month for searchers to stumble upon their abandoned campsite on the slopes of Kholat Syakhl, well off the group's intended course. Mikhail Shavarin, who made the initial discovery, recalled finding the tents, quote, half torn down and covered with snow. It was empty, and all of the group's belongings and shoes had been left behind. It appeared the fabric had been slashed, open from the inside. 9 sets of footprints were also found in the snow, mostly from bare feet. The prints led into the nearby woods nearly 1 mile away, but the second half of the trail seemed to have been deliberately covered with snow. Not far away, the group members discovered in the area were all mostly shoeless and dressed only in underwear and nightclothes. 2 were found by the coals from a fire. 3 others, including Dyatlov, were found within a half a mile, frozen in poses suggesting they were attempting to return to the tent. The final 4 members of the group would not be found for months until after the spring weather eased the search. Investigators eventually discovered them together in a ravine that had been buried under 13 feet of snow. In an unusual twist, they were all found wearing the missing clothing that belonged to the others. Adding to the mystery, the outfits had been exposed to high levels of radiation. Some reports suggested that the radioactivity had characteristics of potassium-40, an isotope that occurs in nature but is rarely found in significant concentrations. A medical examination of the first 5 members at the tent site reached the straightforward conclusion that they suffered from hypothermia due to exposure to the elements. Examination of the final 4, however, raised more questions than answers. 1 appeared to have a cracked skull, and 2 others had major chest fractures. The findings were unusual, though, as none of them showed signs of external tissue injuries, meaning the damage likely came from some form of intense pressure. According to the doctor, the force had to have been, quote, equal to the effect of a car crash. Investigators allegedly found no evidence of the presence of other people, beings, or animals on or near the scene. Because of this lack of evidence, or of any guilty party, the inquest concluded only that the group members all experienced some, quote, compelling natural force, and all documents and photographs related to the investigation were sent to a top-secret Soviet archive. Access to the area, which has since been named Dyatlov Pass after the group's leader, was restricted to the public for years. Though the demise of the group is shrouded in mystery, diaries and cameras recovered at the campsite reveal that until February 1st, the trek had gone as planned. The day before, the hikers had set up camp, caught ample food, and prepared their equipment for the impending climbs. The next day, they had planned to hike through a mountain pass, but an unexpectedly harsh snowstorm led them off track, and they ended up accidentally hiking toward the summit of Kholat Syakhl. By the time Dyatlov realized the mistake, it was late, and they decided to make the Mountain of Death their home for the night. Based on the state of the camp, investigators surmised that at some point in the middle of the night, something mysterious woke the group up and caused them to flee with such haste that they cut themselves out of the tent and left without dressing appropriately for the weather conditions. Of the natural theories proposed, the occurrence of an avalanche is among the most obvious, given the snow cover and the condition of the camp. It is thought that the group may have heard an avalanche coming and cut their way out of their tent to escape an onrush of snow. No subsequent expedition through the pass has observed avalanche conditions, however, and the tree line below the camp was undamaged. Further analysis of the terrain also suggests that if an avalanche did occur, it would have flowed in a trajectory that bypassed the camp. Another theory is that the hikers came under attack by either wild animals or by tribespeople of the local indigenous Mansi population. While this explanation may seem probable on its face, it has largely been dismissed due to the absence of footprints or tracks in the snow other than those from Dyatlov's party. The force needed to cause the injuries observed in the hikers would also have been far beyond that of any known creature. Cryptozoological explanations have suggested the involvement of a mink or Russian yeti, though eyewitness reports of a large hominid in the Ural Mountains have not been confirmed by physical evidence. An even more unusual idea centers around the involvement of some secret Soviet military weapons technology, as well as extraterrestrial involvement. After the fall of the Soviet Union in 1990, the police officer who led the official inquest, Lev Ivanov, gave a stunning interview in which he admitted that the Dyatlov Pass investigative team, quote, had no rational explanation for the incident, and that he had concluded the investigation prematurely upon orders from his superiors. Declassified documents reveal that a group of hikers south of the Dyatlov group reported, quote, strange orange spheres in the night sky in the direction of Kholat Syakhl on the night of February 1st. Other independent witnesses reported seeing similar lights in the sky throughout the winter of 1959. Ivanov claims he received orders from high-ranking government officials to dismiss all of these reports, and he now believes the spheres had, quote, a direct connection to the group. It has been proposed that the spheres were extraterrestrial spacecraft, and that their activity must have been what caused the group to flee the safety of their camp that fateful night. In fact, the last photo captured of one of the hikers' recovered cameras may show a giant flash against the night sky that many say corroborate the UFO sightings, although some contend if it is the result of overexposure. Still others believe the glowing orange spheres seen flying and floating above the Ural Mountains were part of a secret Cold War Soviet project, and that the group became accidental victims of an experiment. This is the theory that Yuri Yudin, a member of the group who failed to make the trip, came to believe. Pointing to the radiation contamination found on their clothing and the fact that his friends' faces looked like they had a deep brown tan, Yudin suggested the group probably witnessed an explosion of some sort that doused them with radiation and caused them to panic and flee. Yudin recalled that special boxes of evidence were sent to the military for radiological examination, possibly to help government researchers better understand the effects of radiation exposure. The theory was advanced further in 2008, when a field of scrap metal fragments was found near the pass, possibly from an aircraft or experimental weapon. 37 independent experts who gathered to investigate the incident in recent years concluded that, quote, the military had been carrying out tests in the area. So what was the unidentified thing the hikers feared so much they were willing to abandon their warm sleeping bags to brave sub-zero temperatures in their underwear? What was the supposed compelling natural force responsible for the fate of 9 young, healthy, experienced trekkers? Why did their clothing test positive for high levels of radiation? And why did the Soviet government hide the investigation's files from the public and restrict access to the pass for years? Although many theories have sprung up through the years to explain the Dyatlov Pass incident, none appear to satisfactorily answer all of the outstanding questions. Befitting one of the most astonishing unsolved mysteries of the Soviet era, it appears that, for now, we remain in the dark.